In today's video, we're going to be talking about shallowing the golf club and early extension. So I'm sure you've had some buddies out there tell you that, you're coming up too much, you're early extending, right? You're standing up through the shot, maybe resulting in top shots or, hitting that ball way off to the right. So we're going to talk today how we're going to fix that and how we're going to learn to, slot the club better, as some people say, get it on plane and move from there. So make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when the next video is coming. Okay, so what do we see every day in lessons, right? So when people submit videos to me online through Skillist where I teach or in-person lessons, what do we see? Well, we see players get up to the top of their swing and their first move in transition, the club gets steep. Steep meaning it's looking up and down like this, not flat like this. So let's call this super shallow, let's call this super steep, right? So we see a ton of players every day get up here, their first move is this, the club steepens in transition, and we see the guys on tour, right? I'll pull up a picture like Tiger, right? They get into this position, the club's shallow, moving in through impact. Well, we have to talk about how to properly sequence our body. We have to learn what we need to move first in the downswing and how we're going to accomplish that. So what I see the everyday player mess up is the sequencing from the top of the swing. So just for example, they get up to the top and their first move from here is to spin the pelvis. Their right knee moves out, they spin the pelvis this way, the club steepens in transition. And then actually early extension is caused by you trying to shallow the club. So people early extend in order to shallow the club. Early extension is a shallower of the golf club. So they get up here, the club steepens, and then they have to get it shallow. So what they do, they stand up, they allow the club to pitch backwards, right? So we have to talk about how to properly sequence things, and that's going to help eliminate that early extension we're looking for and get the club in a much better position. So again, don't think of the club getting steep as a result of early extension. We want to think of you are early extending to try and get that club shallower, not as steep as it is. And to do that, we have to fix how we're gonna start our downswing. So this lesson's kind of gonna be a downswing, a little bit about takeaway too, because that is also hurting you out on the golf course. Okay, perfect. So we have an understanding of, why the club's steep, why we're early extending, and going from there. So now we're gonna first just talk about takeaway and how that's actually gonna help us in stopping the club from getting so steep in transition. And also it's gonna help that early extension that everyone loves to talk about. So super simple first drill to help us with our early extension and shallowing the golf club. So you're just gonna get an alignment stick. You're gonna get set up. I want you to place the alignment stick, let's say between the golf ball and your feet. And you kind of want to place it back a little bit. So I don't want it all the way up here. I want it back a little bit. So what do I see all the time in people's takeaway that gets them in trouble? They take their forearms, they roll them to the inside, the club gets here. Then what they do from there, they lift the arms. And then now it makes it super easy. Think your body's just going to follow the path of least resistance. So we went inside and up. Now we're going to go over the top and down. And that's going to cause the club to steepen in transition. So this move in the takeaway is killing your game because you're getting here, you're going up, and then from there you have to move it this way and then early extend to try and shallow the club. So how are we going to fix that, right? Well, with an alignment stick, it's going to be super simple, and we're going to use some references to help you better do this. So on your takeaway, you want to feel like the club head stays outside of that stick until parallel to the ground, and then from there you can lift the arms up. This is going to get us into a better position to allow us to drop the club a little bit more, shallow it, as a lot of people love to say, and then swing out to the right potentially, right? So a good reference point for this from the face on camera, if you had a watch on, unfortunately I don't have one on today, or you have a glove on, again I don't have that on today. So most people have a logo on their glove. Let's say there's a FootJoy logo there. At setup, I want to feel like in the takeaway, I keep that FootJoy logo pointed down at the golf ball. I don't want that FootJoy logo pointed up at the sky or at the camera. What that means is our forearms have rotated too much. That's going to suck the club. That's going to suck the club inside. That's going to cause us to get here, lift up, and then get steep. So again, your takeaway checkpoint, as you take the club away, keep the club on the outside of that stick until club parallel. Feel like you keep the logo pointed at the golf ball, and then go up from there. Just as a bonus tip, this is also going to help you getting the face a little bit more closed if you're someone who struggles with a slice, missing to the right. Because what we see there, a lot of people get too toe up in the backswing, too much forearm rotation gets the face fanned open and inside. This is going to allow the face to be in a little bit better position on the takeaway, or at least what I prefer. Everyone's different, so this might not be exactly for you, but it's a good way to help if you're someone who misses to the right often. So again, this is step one to help us with the shallowing and early extension. Takeaway, we don't want to roll the club inside and go up. We want to feel like we keep the club outside or keep the club outside of our hands. Once the club gets to parallel, then we can swing the arms up and then we can work on shallowing the club down from there. Okay, perfect. So you have the takeaway down. So now for kind of part two of how we're going to fix early extension and also shallow the golf club. We have to talk about sequencing of the lower body and the upper body. So what we're gonna see a lot of players do, right? They get up to the top, maybe they got the takeaway down, they get up to the top. Their first move from here, they've been told forever, oh, just turn, right? So then what you do, or just rotate, you spin the pelvis this way, kicks the club out, gets a steep in transition. So that's a sequencing issue. So we have to learn to properly, push and pressure shift, right? Followed by allowing the arms to drop, followed by then rotating. So what we're actually gonna be talking about here is delaying the rotation of the lower body in order to help us shallow the club and get into a better position. What do I mean by that? There's a great video of Justin Rose. If I can find it, I'll put it up here. It shows him essentially at the Masters this past year going up, right? Getting here, so his pelvis, right? He's this way, he's rotated back. He allows the arms to drop all the way to here, and then he swings through. So that's showing us that he's kind of delaying that rotation of the pelvis so he doesn't spin too much, potentially. I don't exactly know what he's working on in that drill, but we can use it as a great reference for ourselves. So again, what we want to feel like we do, we get up to the top. We're going to feel like we push left, so you'll see that from the face on camera. So I'm going to shift left. I'm going to allow the arms to drop. And then when the club's about here, I'm then going to swing through, and that should actually help you shift the path more right if you're someone who slices the golf ball. So now I'm going to show you a few drills on how you're going to be able to do this yourself without just doing some crazy drill you see Justin Rose doing. Okay, so for this drill, if you've watched some of my videos in the past, you've seen these drills. These are drills that can help us in any aspect. This specifically is going to be helping us push into our lead foot earlier in the golf swing rather than just rotating. Best thing you can do for this drill, you need 2 tees. I don't have tees on me. I only have these pencils, so they're gonna do for today. So what we're gonna do a single step and a double step drill. So you're gonna get set up in your normal position. Then you're gonna mark both of your feet with a tee, or in my case, a pencil. So we're gonna do the single step drill first. So what's the biggest problem we see? People push into their left foot too late in the golf swing, or they never get there. This can lead to chunk shots. This can lead to spinning the pelvis too much. So we're gonna get set up here for the single step. We're gonna take our lead foot, we're gonna bring it back to our trail foot about a club head apart, okay? What we wanna feel then, we wanna feel like as the club swings back, we're gonna step out to that tee. But if you notice here, as I swung the club back, I stepped. I have not shifted yet. So I'm going to step. Then as the club ascends, I'm then going to recenter my pelvis. So you could think about my belt buckle moving this way or left. Or what I tell juniors, feel like you're squashing a bug with your left foot. So as the club ascends, I'm going to step. I'm then going to, as the club goes up further, I'm then going to recenter the pelvis, push into my left side, allow the arms to drop, and then I'm going to swing through. So what you'll notice there is I'm not thinking I'm just going to rotate from the top. I'm actually being very deliberate about trying to pressure shift, arms drop, and then swing through. Is this the exact way it's going to happen in the full swing? Not necessarily. They're all going to be kind of happening very kind of at the same time. Now the shift is going to take place before the rotation starts, which we can see that in tons of tour pros. But when you're doing your actual full swing, this is a feel versus real, we'll say, okay? So let's hit a couple here. So you're gonna set up, you're gonna bring the club head back bring your foot back about a club head apart. As you swing it back, step, then you're gonna shift, and then you're gonna swing through and hit it. So here we go. So here you go, step, shift, hit it. This is a great drill as well if you're struggling with contact, right? Because what does this help me do? Helps me get my pressure and momentum carrying me forward. It helps me get my hands forward at impact like we see the tour pros do. And it's gonna allow you to compress your irons better. So this drill is good for so many things. One last time, let's just go over the single step. So you're gonna get set up, you're gonna mark your feet, you're gonna bring your lead foot back to your trail foot about a club head apart. As the club swings back, you're gonna step, then you're gonna shift, and then you're gonna swing through. Again, we're not even talking about rotation here. Let's just say that's gonna happen naturally. Not necessarily, but it kind of is. So you're gonna set up, left foot back to the right foot about a club head apart. I'm gonna swing, step, shift, and go. Now we're gonna go up into the double step drill. This one's a little bit more complicated, a little bit more moving parts. What I tell you here, don't start with a golf ball, okay? Start without a golf ball and work up from there. So we're still gonna get set up. We're still gonna mark our feet, Nothing changes there. The thing that changes here is I'm actually gonna bring my feet to meet in the middle. They don't have to touch, just kind of meet in the middle. From there, let's take the golf ball out of the way for a moment. I'm gonna feel like the club is hovering. I'm actually gonna start with the club forward. So here I have more pressure on my left. As the club swings back, I'm gonna feel like I step back to the right, or where I mark my right foot. As the club swings up, I'm gonna step back to my left, then I'm gonna shift and recenter the pelvis, and then I'm gonna swing through. So there's a little bit more happening here. The best way to describe it, I have tons of videos about this, but the best way to describe it, if I'm walking, so you can see from here, if I'm walking, I'm going to unweight my right, I'm gonna weight my left, I'm gonna weight my right, I'm gonna unweight my left, I'm gonna go from there. Golf swing's no different. We wanna push from our left to our right and back to our left. If you wanna hit it further, if you wanna be more consistent, you need to learn to push from your left foot to your right foot. If you keep all of your pressure on your front foot, you might be able to hit it pretty straight, but it's not gonna go very far, okay? So if we wanna maximize distance, and everyone wants to do that, we have to learn to push from one foot to the other. So I'm gonna get set up here. I'll do a few without a golf ball. So I'm gonna get set up, feet kind of meet in the middle, hover the club, push forward. Then I'm gonna go step, step, shift, swing. And that's what I'm looking for. Then as you level this up, you can add a golf ball in. It just gets a little bit harder. You're gonna set up, feet meet in the middle, hover the club over. This is your starting position, start here. Then you're gonna go step, step, swing, and hit it. I would recommend doing these really, really slow. Do not jump in here and try to hit the golf ball right away. You won't be successful at it. It takes some time. It takes some getting used to because you're hovering the club and trying to relocate it. But it's one of the best drills to help us sequence our body. And actually, you're gonna probably see a speed increase as you get used to this. So one last time, let's just go over it. So set up, mark your feet, feet meet in the middle, hover the club, push the club forward to start. Then you're gonna go step, step, and then through. And that's what we're looking for. That's the double step. So try the single and double step, and then we'll move on from there. What you've noticed throughout this video so far, we did takeaway, then we did the step drills to help with sequencing. What you've noticed is I haven't talked about like how to, let's say, artificially like shallow the club, right? Like you've seen some videos online, we've seen with Justin Rose in that video I showed earlier. I don't want you to necessarily artificially shallow the club within your golf swing. I think it's good to do feels like that, but I don't think it's a good idea to try it within your golf swing. So I've seen players do this before. They're working on shallowing the club, so they get up to the top. This is their live swing. They go up, and then you see this weird move where they try to do this, but they don't have the sequencing right. They spin this way, and it's just no good. They're gonna hit hosel rockets. It's just not gonna go anywhere. So we have to get the takeaway down, we have to get the sequencing down, and then we can kind of mix in some of these feels. So I'm gonna give you a good feel today that you can use. It's called the wall drill. So I'm not up against a wall, but I'll draw a line or something to help give you a visual. So I wanna feel like, you know, my takeaway is good, right? So step one, takeaway. Then as I go up to the top, step two, I'm then gonna shift in my left. And what I wanna feel, imagine my club, there was a wall there. I wanna imagine I'm dragging this club down the wall, right? So I'm not necessarily like doing this with the wrist. I'm just feeling like I'm letting the club fall down or allowing the arms to drop, where we see, you know, tons of tour pros get to. So I'm not artificially trying to do this. If you do the takeaway right and you get the proper sequencing of the body, like in step two, the club will be in a much, much better position where we don't have to just try and do this all day long and try to get it there. So again, I'm gonna set up here, takeaway down. Now I've pushed into my right. As I go up, I'm then gonna push back left, and I'm gonna feel like there's a wall. I'm gonna drag my club head down the wall, and then I'm gonna turn through the shot. So again, what have you noticed? I haven't said much about rotation, right? So we're delaying the rotation of the pelvis. So I get up to the top, right? I shift. I haven't rotated. I allow my arms to drop, and then I rotate through the shot. So I'm delaying the rotation. Now, when you video yourself, are you gonna look like perfectly like, you know, you get the arms here and you haven't rotated the pelvis? No, you're gonna rotate. You look at tour pros, they're already rotating their pelvis as well. But we have to understand the sequencing. We have to delay our pelvis. So I still need that pelvis to rotate. I still need you to use those forces, but we can't have that going crazy and getting the club in a really bad position. So overall, just think, I don't want you getting out there and trying to do these crazy, like crazy drills like that, right? Some of them could be good, right, to get a feel down, right? But feel versus real is very different. The drills I've given you with the takeaway and the step drills are very practical. You can apply those. The ones where you're doing these crazy exaggerated drills, I think those are really good for rehearsals. I would not tell you to stop doing those. I think you should. But understand you have to know the proper sequencing and you have to know what positions you need to get that club in. Thanks for watching today's video. What you should understand is how your takeaway can dramatically impact if you're getting too steep and if you're early extending in the golf swing. The other thing you should understand is the proper sequencing I want to see you do within the golf swing. That's also going to have a major impact on how the club shallows, right, and how much you early extend. So if you apply the drills I've shown you in today's video, the takeaway drill, the step drills, and then kind of the field drills that we were working on there in part 3, you're going to be on your way to shallowing the club and fixing that early extension. So in every private lesson I give and every online lesson, that's the biggest question. How do I stop early extension and how do I start shallowing the golf club? Well, this is your guide to help do that. So be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when the next video is coming.